Hello, and welcome to Day by Day True Crime Stories, the podcast where we explore a different crime or justice milestone from this day in history. I'm your host, Kona Gallagher, and today is August 27th. On this day in 2021, the bright, adventurous life of Gabby Petito came to a tragic turning point. Gabby, a 22-year-old travel vlogger and aspiring content creator, was last seen alive in Wyoming during what should have been a trip of a lifetime with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. Instead, her disappearance became one of the most heartbreaking and most public missing person cases in recent American history. Today, we're talking about the disappearance and murder of Gabby Petito. Let's get started. Gabby Petito had always been drawn to adventure. In July 2021, she and Brian Laundrie set off on a cross-country road trip in their white Ford Transit van, which they'd converted into a cozy home on wheels. On Instagram and YouTube, Gabby shared snippets of their van life: mountains in Utah, canyons in Arizona, and nights under the stars. She wanted to build a career around documenting the beauty that she found. But behind those curated posts, there were cracks. On August 12th, police in Moab, Utah responded to reports of a domestic incident. Body cam footage showed Gabby crying and visibly shaken. She told officers that Brian had slapped her and grabbed her phone. Brian, for his part, claimed that she was the aggressor. Officers described the scene as a mental health crisis. No arrests were made. Gabby stayed in the van that night, and Brian was put up in a hotel. That night, their fragile relationship continued in private. Just 2 weeks later, on August 27th, Gabby posted what would be her final Instagram photo. Her standing in front of a butterfly mural in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That afternoon, she and Brian were spotted together on surveillance footage at Whole Foods. They spent 16 minutes in the store, and that was the last confirmed public sighting of Gabby Petito. The final text her mother received was unsettling. It read, quote, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls," end quote. Stan was her grandfather, but Gabby had never once referred to him by his first name. The text felt off, so much so that her mother immediately felt that something wasn't right. That same day, witnesses reported seeing the van parked off of a quiet road near Spread Creek in the Bridger-Teton National Forest. It seemed ordinary at the time, but that sighting would later become crucial in figuring out what happened. By early September, the silence was deafening. Gabby, who usually checked in often, wasn't calling. She wasn't texting, and her Instagram account had gone dormant. On September 1st, Brian Laundrie drove the van back to his family's home in Northport, Florida, alone. Gabby's family hadn't heard from her, and now the man who should have had answers refused to speak. Instead, his parents hired an attorney. On September 11th, Gabby's stepfather filed a missing persons report. By the next day, the FBI was involved, and search teams began combing the vast Wyoming wilderness where Gabby was last known to be. The story gripped the nation. News cameras followed search teams on ATVs and helicopters. Social media exploded with speculation and amateur sleuthing. Then, on September 19th, searchers in Wyoming's Spread Creek area discovered human remains. The FBI confirmed the worst. The body matched Gabby's description. 2 days later, forensic teams positively identified her. Her death was ruled a homicide and had been caused by blunt force trauma to the head and neck and manual strangulation. With Gabby's death confirmed, all eyes turned to Brian Laundrie. He had returned home on September 1st, but vanished again just days later. His parents told police that he had gone hiking in the Carlton Reserve and never came back. The swampy, alligator-ridden terrain made the search grueling. Tips poured in from across the country. People were sure that they'd spotted Brian in campsites, on trails, or in small towns. One witness reported picking up a hitchhiker near Culture Bay who resembled him, only to watch him get out near Spread Creek, close to where the van had been seen. For weeks, there was nothing. Then, on October 20th, searchers finally found remains in the reserve. Nearby lay a backpack, clothing, and a notebook. An autopsy confirmed that the body belonged to Brian Laundrie. He had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Inside his notebook, investigators found his confession, quote, "I killed her. I am ending my life," end quote. The FBI officially closed the case, naming Brian Laundrie as the sole person responsible for Gabby Petito's death. Gabby's disappearance wasn't just another missing persons case. It became a cultural moment. Her story unfolded in real time across TikTok, Reddit, and Instagram. Strangers analyzed her YouTube videos for clues, mapped sightings of the van, and pieced together timelines. It was one of the largest grassroots digital investigations that the world had ever seen. But it also sparked hard conversations about bias in media coverage. Experts pointed out that missing women of color rarely receive the same attention. The term missing white woman syndrome was cited again and again, and even Gabby's own father questioned whether or not her story would have reached national prominence if she hadn't been young, white, and photogenic. The coroner who examined her case called the media frenzy a circus and lamented that countless other victims of domestic violence remain invisible. Still, Gabby's story resonated so widely that it ignited a movement. Her family vowed that her death would not be in vain. In the wake of unimaginable grief, Gabby's parents, Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt, turned their heartbreak into advocacy. Along with Gabby's step-parents, they founded the Gabby Petito Foundation, which is dedicated to helping victims of domestic violence and shining the light on missing persons cases, especially in communities that are too often ignored. They've partnered with groups like the Black and Missing Foundation and Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples organizations, trying to extend the attention that Gabby's case received to others who desperately needed it. In 2024, the foundation launched Faces of the Missing, a project to bring overlooked cases into the public eye through television and social media. Gabby's parents also speak openly about their ongoing pain. Her mother, Nicole, has said, quote, "There's never going to be closure," end quote. And yet, the family continues to push forward, believing that Gabby's story can save others. Gabby Petito was a young woman with a creative spirit and a love of adventure. Her life ended in violence, but her story has sparked national reflection on how we respond to domestic abuse, how we cover missing persons, and how families can turn tragedy into change. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Day by Day True Crime Stories. If you found Gabby's story compelling, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It'll help us grow. And be sure to join me again tomorrow as we explore another significant event in true crime history. Until then, stay safe and remember that behind every headline is a life worth remembering. Day by Day True Crime Stories is a Little Monster production.
Hey, you can do it!